Hello everyone. This is Anime Dreams, and welcome back to the channel. Today's fanfiction episode is What if Harley Quinn joined Batman because of Naruko? Part 2. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The content on this channel is made for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any anime footage, music, or copyrighted material used in this video. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, without wasting any more time, let's begin. Naruko, her shadow clones, and the Zetsu twins soared through the bright evening sky, moving quickly between the tall buildings of Metropolis. One by one, glowing portals opened as people were safely guided away to Gotham City. White Zetsu tilted his head in confusion while flying beside her. Naruko-sama, I don't understand. Why are we flying around the city like this? He asked. Black Zetsu crossed his arms with a tired sigh. Isn't it obvious? He replied. There's danger coming to Metropolis, and Naruko-sama is trying to protect as many people as possible. White Zetsu blinked. Oh. That makes sense. As they traveled through the city streets and rooftops, each Zetsu used Kamui portals to safely move families, workers, and children out of harm's way. Naruko's golden cloak shimmered brightly as she created dozens of shadow clones. Shadow clone technique. She called. Her clones spread across the city like rays of sunlight, helping guide everyone to safety. Some clones carried elderly people, while others helped frightened children and pets through glowing portals. Naruko looked over the city with concern in her blue eyes. We have to move faster, she thought. There are still so many people left. Far above the clouds, strange lights flickered in the sky. Naruko sensed danger growing closer and gritted her teeth with determination. Zetsu, keep helping everyone you can, she said telepathically. No one gets left behind. Both white and black Zetsu nodded immediately. Right away, Naruko-sama, Black Zetsu answered. As Naruko flew forward, she spotted three young heroes racing through the streets below, Superboy, Beast Boy, and Kid Flash. They were trying to help civilians escape. Naruko smiled softly. They're brave, she thought. I'll make sure they stay safe too. With a quick motion of her hand, swirling portals appeared beneath the three heroes. In an instant, they were transported safely to Gotham City alongside the rescued citizens. Kid Flash stumbled onto a rooftop and looked around in surprise. Huh? Where are we? He asked. Beast Boy, now back in his normal form, blinked at the city skyline. This isn't Metropolis, he said. It's Gotham. Superboy looked equally confused. 1 second we were helping people, he said, and the next second we were here. Moments later, a tremendous flash of light glowed far off in the distance. Everyone fell silent as they watched the sky over Metropolis shine brightly before fading away. The rescued citizens gasped softly, holding on to one another. Though frightened, they were safe. Beast Boy covered his mouth in shock. Is everyone okay over there? He whispered. Kid Flash lowered his head sadly. I hope so. Superboy clenched his fists, worried for his home and the people still there. Then a calm voice spoke behind them. You're safe now. That's what matters most. The three heroes turned around quickly. Standing there was Naruko, glowing gently with golden chakra. Black Zetsu rested over one side of her cloak like living shadow armor, while White Zetsu stood nearby in his dark suit with the strange eye symbol across the chest. Superboy stepped forward carefully. Who are you? He asked. Naruko gave a warm smile. My name is Naruko, she replied kindly. My friends and I brought everyone here to protect them. Kid Flash looked around at the hundreds of rescued people appearing across rooftops and streets. You saved all these people? He asked in amazement. Naruko nodded. We did what we could, she said softly. When people are in danger, helping them is the most important thing. Beast Boy relaxed a little and smiled. Well? Thanks, he said. That was really heroic. White Setsu proudly pointed at Naruko. See? I told you Naruko-sama is amazing. Black Setsu sighed again. You say that every 5 minutes. But it's true, White Setsu replied happily. For the first time since arriving in Gotham, the young heroes laughed a little. Even during a frightening day, Naruko's kindness had given everyone a moment of hope. And high above the city skyline, the stars slowly began to shine. Superboy slowly turned off his heat vision and focused with her super hearing. She listened carefully, then looked toward Naruko and noticed that her heartbeat was calm and steady. Superboy finally let out a relieved sigh. Okay. You aren't lying, she said. Since the two strangers did not seem dangerous, Kid Flash carefully stepped closer while Beast Boy changed back into his normal form. Still, Superboy frowned as she pointed toward the pale figure beside Naruko. But what exactly is she? Superboy asked cautiously. She doesn't even have a heartbeat. White Zetsu tilted her head calmly. The reason I don't have a heartbeat is because I don't have organs, she explained. The three young heroes stared in complete surprise. What do you mean you don't have organs? Kid Flash exclaimed. Before White Zetsu could answer, Naruko smiled kindly and stepped forward. What my friend means, Naruko explained gently, is that she isn't human. She's an artificial life form, so her body works differently from yours. She doesn't need organs or bones the same way people do. The heroes listened closely, still amazed. But enough about that, Naruko continued warmly. My name is Rikudo, and like I said before, we came to help you. Superboy crossed her arms, though her expression softened a little. We appreciate the help, she admitted. But why did you save us? Naruko glanced toward the distant sky for a moment before answering. Because your friends were in danger, she said. And everyone deserves a chance to make things right. The blonde ninja gave the heroes a small smile. But we should leave now. Please be careful from now on. Soon enough, many truths will come to light. With a swirl of glowing energy, Naruko opened a shining portal. White Zetsu followed beside her. Wait! Kid Flash called out. You can't just disappear. But the portal slowly closed before they could stop them. Just before vanishing completely, Naruko quietly spoke into her communicator. Batman. I hope you understand that everything is changing. Only silence answered her. Far away, the world was still recovering from a terrible disaster. Superman gently landed among the ruined streets of Metropolis. Smoke drifted through the air while broken buildings stood silent around him. In his arms, he carefully held his wife, Lois, protecting her as best he could. The great hero lowered his head sadly. His city had suffered greatly, and many people needed hope now more than ever. Meanwhile, deep inside a secure prison cell, Batman stood face to face with the Joker. Hidden nearby, Naruko, White Zetsu, and Black Zetsu silently watched using a special ninja technique. Batman's voice was calm but serious. Why did you do this? She asked. The Joker simply shrugged. I wanted to prove that even heroes can lose their smiles, he replied with a strange grin. Batman looked disappointed rather than angry. Hurt and sadness don't make the world better, she said firmly. People need kindness, not fear. For a brief moment, the Joker had no answer. Elsewhere, Green Lantern and Flash worked together in a quiet forest outside the city. They guided families and injured civilians to safety while glowing green energy lit the area. Is that everyone? Green Lantern asked. Flash nodded while catching her breath. Yeah. Everyone nearby has been evacuated safely. The two heroes looked back toward the distant city skyline. What about Superman? Green Lantern asked softly. I think she's still in Metropolis, Flash answered. She probably wants to make sure nobody else is left behind. Green Lantern nodded slowly. Even after such a difficult day, the heroes continued helping others. And somewhere in the shadows, Naruko watched carefully, hoping that this world could still find peace, friendship, and a brighter tomorrow. In the bright city of Metropolis, the evening sky shimmered with soft golden clouds. High above the streets, heroes hurried through the air after a terrible trick caused chaos across the city. Wonder Woman gently landed beside Superman, who knelt silently on the rooftop garden of a tall building. In his arms rested his wife, Lois, while tears rolled down his face. Nearby sat a tiny blanket meant for the baby they had been excited to welcome soon. The Amazon princess slowly placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Clark," Wonder Woman said softly. Superman looked up, his eyes full of sorrow. "Diana." He shook his head. "I failed them." "No," Wonder Woman replied kindly but firmly. "You are not responsible for the cruel choices of others. Someone wanted to hurt you, and they planned this carefully. You must not carry all the blame alone." For a long moment, Superman said nothing. The city lights flickered around them like stars. Then, with trembling hands, he stood. "Will you hold her for me?" he asked quietly. "Will you keep them safe while I go?" Wonder Woman nodded at once. "Of course." Carefully, Superman entrusted Lois to her arms. Wonder Woman held her gently and respectfully, promising silent protection. "I'll return soon," Superman said before lifting into the sky. "Clark, where are you going?" Wonder Woman called. But Superman had already vanished into the clouds. Far above the city, Green Lantern spotted him racing through the night. "Superman!" Hal Jordan shouted as he flew beside her. "Slow down." Naruko Uzumaki, who had been visiting Metropolis with the Justice League for a special friendship festival between heroes and young students, watched from a nearby rooftop. Her bright golden hair fluttered in the wind beneath her orange scarf. She sensed the sadness pouring from Superman like a storm cloud. "He's hurting badly," Naruko whispered. Green Lantern tried again. "Batman already captured the Joker and brought him to Gotham. Please, just take a moment to breathe." But Superman's eyes remained fixed ahead. "Where is he?" Superman asked in a cold, exhausted voice. Hal created a glowing green shield around Superman. "You're upset and exhausted. I'm not letting you rush into something you'll regret." Superman pressed against the glowing sphere. "Let me through." "Not until we talk." The emerald barrier cracked apart under Superman's strength, scattering green sparks harmlessly through the sky. Hal drifted backward in surprise but quickly steadied herself. Naruko leapt high into the air, landing gently between them atop a floating platform of chakra energy. "Both of you, stop," she called. Superman paused for only a second. Naruko looked at him with calm blue eyes. "I know what it feels like to lose control when your heart hurts. But your friends are trying to protect you, not fight you." Green Lantern nodded. "Exactly." Superman clenched his fists. "I can't just do nothing." "No one is asking you to do nothing," Naruko said gently. "But sadness can make even the kindest person forget who she really is inside." Superman looked away toward the distant lights of Gotham. Naruko stepped closer, her voice warm and steady. "The people of Earth believe in you because you bring hope. Lois believed in that too." The wind quieted around them. Green Lantern slowly lowered her glowing hands. "Come back with us. We'll face this together." For a long moment, Superman said nothing at all. Then, at last, she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The anger in the sky slowly faded. "I don't know what to do next," Superman admitted quietly. Naruko smiled kindly. "Then you don't have to figure it out alone." Together, the three heroes floated beneath the stars while the city below began to grow peaceful once more. The Dark Knight stood silently in the dimly lit room, her cape resting heavily around her shoulders. Across from her, the clown's grin had faded into something almost thoughtful. "Someone took everything from you once too, didn't they, Bats?" The Joker asked softly. And look what you became. Always fighting, always carrying the weight of the world. Batman's expression remained calm and steady. What do you think Superman will become? The Joker continued. He's someone with the power of a god trying very hard to live like an ordinary man. What happens when that hope is shaken? Naruko Uzumaki quietly watched from the shadows nearby. She crossed her arms and narrowed her bright blue eyes as she sensed a powerful presence approaching. This doesn't feel good, she thought. Beside her stood White Zetsu and Black Zetsu, both unusually quiet as they observed the tense moment unfolding. Batman looked directly at the Joker. There are some things even you can't change, Joker. The clown chuckled softly. Oh, Batsy. You still believe that? Suddenly, a burst of light crashed through the ceiling above. Wind swept across the room as Superman landed heavily on the floor. Batman shielded her eyes while Naruko instinctively stepped forward, her orange jacket fluttering in the breeze. Superman looked exhausted and heartbroken. His eyes carried sadness deeper than anyone there had ever seen. The Joker only smiled. Naruko frowned. She could feel the pain pouring off Superman like a storm cloud. Black Zetsu quietly whispered, pain can change people in dangerous ways. Superman slowly walked toward the Joker. The room felt still and heavy. Batman stepped forward carefully. Clark, she said gently. Don't let your anger decide who you are. For a moment, Superman paused. The Joker tilted his head with a cruel grin. Why so serious? Naruko clenched her fists. She didn't like the way the Joker toyed with people's feelings. Then Superman closed his eyes tightly and took a long breath. When he opened them again, the anger was still there, but so was something stronger. He stepped back. I won't become what you want me to become, Superman said quietly. The Joker blinked in surprise. Batman relaxed slightly, proud of her friend. Naruko let out a relieved sigh. Good choice, she muttered. Without another word, Superman turned away from the Joker. The room stayed silent except for the distant sound of rain outside. Even the Joker had nothing to say. At Titan's Tower. News reports filled every screen inside Titan's Tower. Images of Metropolis appeared over and over as reporters discussed the destruction and confusion spreading across the city. The Titans watched quietly, worried expressions covering their faces. Red Robin entered the room quickly. Has anyone heard from Batman? Starfire shook her head sadly. Then the doors opened again. Superboy, Beast Boy, and Kid Flash stepped inside, tired but safe. Wonder Girl gasped happily and rushed forward to hug Superboy tightly. You're alive! She cried. Starfire smiled brightly as she wrapped Beast Boy in a warm hug. Garf, we were so worried about you. Beast Boy laughed nervously. Yeah. It was a crazy day. Red Robin folded his arms. How did you all make it out safely? We got help, Superboy explained. From who? Red Robin asked. Beast Boy grinned. Two really strange people named Rikudo and Venus. They showed up right when things got bad. Starfire nodded gratefully. Then we owe them our thanks. Even so, she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in her heart. As the Titans continued watching the news, Red Robin tried contacting the Justice League through his communicator. Nothing. No answer, he said quietly. Not from Batman. Not from anyone. The room became silent again. Superboy suddenly looked away from the television. Turn it off, he muttered sadly. Red Robin sighed. Connor. What do we even do now? Superboy lowered his head. I don't know. Wonder Girl gently placed a hand on his shoulder. Then the doors opened once more. Nightwing entered the tower. Dick! Starfire exclaimed with relief. Nightwing nodded, though his face looked serious. The Joker tricked Superman and caused terrible chaos in Metropolis. The Titans listened carefully. But Superman stopped himself before making a terrible mistake. Nightwing continued. Batman helped remind him who he really is. Superboy looked up hopefully. So? Superman's okay? He's hurting, Nightwing admitted. But he's still trying to do the right thing. The room felt lighter after hearing those words. Sometimes heroes struggled. Sometimes they made mistakes. But what mattered most was choosing kindness, hope, and courage when things became difficult. Later, Starfire spoke quietly with Nightwing in the hallway. You should come back to the Titans, she said softly. Everyone needs guidance right now. Nightwing smiled gently. And they have it. The Titans are stronger together than they realize. Starfire nodded. Before leaving, Nightwing added one final warning. For now, everyone should stay careful. Emotions are running high. Hidden far away in the shadows, White Zetsu silently watched the tower. Meanwhile, Naruko stood on a Gotham rooftop beneath the night sky, the cool wind brushing through her golden hair. She looked toward the stars and smiled faintly. No matter how dark things get, she whispered to herself, people can still choose to protect each other. And somewhere high above the clouds, Superman heard those words and smiled too. Superboy floated high above the streets of New York City, the wind tugging gently at his jacket. Below him, crowds had gathered around Superman as reporters held microphones toward the sky. The world felt quieter now, as if everyone was holding their breath and waiting to see what would happen next. Far away on the roof of a nearby building stood Naruko. Her golden hair danced in the breeze, and her bright blue eyes stayed fixed on the scene below. Usually, she carried an energetic smile wherever she went, but today her expression was thoughtful. My Earth name, is Clark Kent, Superman announced to the crowd. Naruko listened silently. What happened yesterday can never happen again. Innocent people should never have to suffer because of villains and chaos. From this moment forward, wars and battles across the world must stop. Or I will stop them myself. The crowd murmured nervously. High above, Superboy lowered his head. He still could not fully understand what had happened to his hero. The Superman he admired had always stood for hope and kindness. Naruko folded her arms softly. I was afraid something like this would happen, she whispered to herself. When people lose too much, pain can cloud their hearts. Now everyone will feel forced to choose sides. She closed her eyes for a moment before opening a swirling portal beside her. Soft violet light shimmered around its edges. I should check on Barbara. Without another word, Naruko stepped through. With Barbara. Inside the clock tower headquarters, Barbara Gordon sat quietly in front of several glowing computer screens. News reports filled every monitor. The entire world seemed shaken. Barbara rubbed her tired eyes. She had spent the whole night helping coordinate rescue teams and searching for survivors. Even though many heroes had saved countless people, the sadness in everyone's hearts remained heavy. Suddenly, a square-shaped portal of purple light opened in the center of the room. Barbara looked up and smiled faintly. Hey, Naruko. Naruko stepped through the portal and gave her friend a warm smile. Hey, Barb. How are you holding up? Barbara sighed softly. I'm managing. It still feels unreal. Naruko sat beside her on the couch. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Barbara looked toward her friend. Naruko? Was it really the Joker who caused all this? Naruko nodded slowly. Yes. He tricked Superman in the worst possible way. A terrible chain of events followed, and many innocent people were hurt. Barbara looked down sadly. And Superman? She asked quietly. Naruko's expression softened. He made a choice while overwhelmed by grief and anger, she answered carefully. Right now, he's hurting more than most people can imagine. Barbara clasped her hands together. I've never seen the world like this before. Naruko gently rested a hand on Barbara's shoulder. The hardest moments are the ones that test who we are, she said. Some people become consumed by sadness. Others learn to rise above it with the help of their friends. Barbara looked at her curiously. Do you think Superman can recover? Naruko smiled faintly. I do. Deep down, Clark is still a good person. People aren't defined by their worst moments. They're defined by what they choose to do afterward. Barbara's eyes softened. That sounds like something Batman would say. Naruko laughed quietly. Maybe spending time around him is rubbing off on me. The room finally felt a little lighter. Barbara leaned back in her chair. So what now? Naruko stood and twirled her staff once before another glowing portal appeared nearby. Batman asked me to check on Harley Quinn, she explained. He's worried she may be frightened and alone after everything that's happened. Barbara nodded slowly. That sounds like Bruce. Naruko stepped toward the portal, then paused. Barb? Yeah? No matter how dark things seem, people still need hope. That's why heroes keep going. Barbara smiled warmly. And that's why you're one of the best heroes I know. Naruko grinned brightly. Thanks. I'll see you soon. With that, she waved goodbye and disappeared into the glowing portal, leaving behind only a gentle shimmer of light. Later that day in Smallville, Kansas, Superboy arrived home with a troubled look on his face. He sat heavily at the kitchen table while Jonathan and Martha Kent watched him with concern. That's just it. Everything he stood for. Everything he meant to me. It feels broken now, Connor said quietly. Jonathan folded his hands calmly. Only if you decide it is, Connor. Connor shook his head. No. It's not just me. Something important has changed. Martha set down her coffee cup gently. Honey, Clark has never been perfect. None of us are. So you're saying what happened is fine? Connor asked, surprised. We didn't say that, Martha replied softly. Jonathan nodded. Sometimes people make choices during painful moments that they later regret. It isn't our place to judge too quickly. But Superman is supposed to be better than everyone else, Connor insisted. That's not entirely fair, Martha said kindly. He's still just one person trying his best. Connor stood and headed toward the door. I can't just ignore this. Martha followed after him. Where are you going, son? I'm going to stop him before things get worse, Connor answered firmly before soaring into the sky. High above the plains, Wonder Girl spotted him racing through the clouds. I found Connor, she said through her communicator. He's heading toward Clark. Far away, hidden among tall trees, two unusual figures observed the situation carefully. White Zetsu tilted his head thoughtfully. Naruko-sama guessed this would happen, he said. Black Zetsu crossed his arms. Of course she did. Naruko-sama understands how strongly people protect the ones they care about. Deep within a peaceful hidden village far from Kansas, Naruko Uzumaki stood beneath a bright evening sky. Her golden hair moved gently in the breeze as she watched the stars begin to appear. She wore a warm smile, though her eyes carried concern. People make mistakes when their hearts are hurting, she said softly to herself. But fighting friends will only make things sadder. Nearby, Hinata nodded gently. Do you think they'll listen to you if you go? Naruko laughed lightly. I'll make them listen. That's what friends are for. Back at Titan's Tower, Red Robin, Beast Boy, Kid Flash, and Starfire gathered around the computer systems. We should call Nightwing, Red Robin suggested. Starfire shook her head carefully. No. Right now, we need to focus on helping Connor ourselves. Beast Boy scratched his head. She's right. Connor's upset, and he needs us. Wonder Girl soon caught up to Superboy at the Fortress of Solitude. Inside the icy halls, Connor searched through Kryptonian devices and glowing crystals. Connor, Wonder Girl said with a sigh, you're not going to find kryptonite here. The Justice League removed it years ago. You think I don't know that? Connor snapped before calming slightly. Then what are you looking for? Connor held up a strange silver device. Something that can stop Clark without hurting him. Before Wonder Girl could answer, a familiar voice echoed through the fortress. I believe you mean this. Superman stepped forward holding the device gently in one hand. Wonder Girl blinked. What is that? A Phantom Zone projector, Superman explained. Connor hoped to send me somewhere far away until he believed I had changed. Connor stepped forward. I don't want to hurt you, Clark. I just don't know how to trust you right now. Superman's expression softened slightly. And I never wanted you to feel that way. The tension in the room grew heavy until suddenly the large fortress doors opened again. A swirl of golden-orange energy spun through the chamber like sunlight dancing on water. Naruko Uzumaki stepped inside. Her bright blue eyes moved from Superman to Superboy and then to Wonder Girl. Well, Naruko said cheerfully, placing her hands on her hips, this looks way too serious. Everyone stared in surprise. Beast Boy's voice crackled through Wonder Girl's communicator. Who's the girl in orange? Naruko grinned. Name's Naruko. And before anyone starts throwing punches or laser beams again, maybe we should all take a breath and actually talk. Connor frowned. This doesn't concern you. Naruko walked right up to him without fear. It concerns me when friends stop listening to each other. Superman studied her carefully. You're very brave. Nah, Naruko replied with a smile. I just know what it's like when people feel lonely or disappointed. For a moment, the fortress became completely quiet. Then Naruko pointed toward the giant table in the center of the room. Everybody sit down. Wonder Girl blinked. You can't seriously think that's going to work. Naruko smiled confidently. Trust me. Sharing feelings is harder than fighting, but it works way better. To everyone's surprise, Superman slowly sat down first. Connor hesitated before taking a seat across from him. One by one, the others gathered around the table as Naruko stood proudly between them. Good, she said warmly. Now let's fix this together like heroes are supposed to. While the heroes with incredible strength kept Superman busy, Red Robin and Kid Flash hurried toward the Phantom Zone projector. We'll get the Phantom Zone projector, said Red Robin. The two heroes grabbed the machine, but it would not move even an inch. Oh no. We can't lift it, groaned Kid Flash. Superman landed nearby with a thunderous step. That's because the safety cap weighs 100 tons, he explained calmly. With amazing speed, he pushed back Wonder Girl and Superboy while Beast Boy tumbled across the ground and returned to his human form. Then Superman looked directly at Red Robin. Bruce always said you were a brilliant strategist, Tim, Superman said. So you must realize this battle cannot continue forever. Red Robin stood tall despite the danger. Maybe not, he replied, but Batman would never stop trying to protect people. Kid Flash nodded. He always finds another way. True, Superman answered quietly. Batman always has a plan. Before anyone could react, a sudden invisible force struck Superman and sent him crashing into the earth. The ground shook, leaving a giant crater behind. A second powerful strike launched him high into the sky before he could even understand what was happening. Yasugami Kushiki, 80 God's vacuum attack, called a clear voice. Dozens of glowing lavender chakra fists burst through the air like shining comets, pushing Superman farther and farther away. Floating nearby was Naruko, her dark cloak fluttering gently in the wind. Her special hidden side of view technique shimmered around her eyes like silver light. And now, Naruko thought calmly, to send him far away from everyone. She raised one hand. 6 paths, Flying Thunder God technique. A glowing chakra rod soared upward. Instead of hurting Superman, the rod surrounded him with warm golden light. In a single flash, he vanished into deep space many galaxies away. Naruko slowly lowered her hand and turned off her hidden side of view technique. The Titans stared at her in complete surprise. Kid Flash blinked several times. Rikudo? What are you doing here? And how did you find us? Naruko crossed her arms with a small smile. I had a feeling one of you might try something reckless, so I followed you. I'm glad I did. Superboy looked worried. Where did you send Clark? I sent him far away, Naruko answered honestly. But he will return eventually. Right now, the important thing is making sure all of you are safe. She looked directly at Superboy. You were all trying to stop him without hurting him, she explained gently. But he was no longer holding back. If I hadn't arrived when I did, someone could have been seriously injured. The young heroes exchanged uneasy glances. We should leave before he comes back, Naruko continued. I'll answer your questions once we're somewhere secure. A swirling portal appeared beside her, glowing softly with blue light. One by one, the Titans stepped through it. Before entering herself, Naruko used her Kamui ability to safely store the Phantom Zone projector inside another dimension. Even with good intentions, she whispered to herself, a weapon this dangerous should never fall into the wrong hands. A dark figure slowly emerged from the shadows nearby. Wise decision, Naruko-sama, said Black Zetsu with a quiet chuckle. That machine is far too dangerous. Naruko nodded once before stepping through the portal. The group arrived inside a massive underground hideout filled with glowing screens, scrolls, tools, and strange inventions. The walls shimmered faintly beneath the cave lights. Red Robin looked around carefully. What is this place? One of my hidden laboratories, Naruko explained. I use this place to study my abilities and develop equipment. Starfire folded her arms. How do we know Superman cannot find us here? Naruko smiled confidently. Because these walls are reinforced with lead. Superboy, try using your vision. Superboy focused carefully, then shook his head in surprise. I can't see through the rooms at all. The Titans finally relaxed a little. Red Robin turned toward Naruko again. We really are grateful, he said sincerely. But why risk yourself to save us? Naruko became quiet for a moment. She looked at each of them carefully before answering. Because all of you are part of something much larger now, she said softly. Kid Flash tilted his head. Part of what? Naruko's expression grew serious, but her voice remained calm and hopeful. The beginning of a great conflict, she answered. But also the beginning of a chance to protect the future together. The room fell silent as the Titans absorbed her words. Though uncertainty filled the air, one thing was clear. They were no longer facing the darkness alone. Dear YouTube family, that's all for now. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thank you for your support. Regards, Anime Dreams.